Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Chaos-Reighn here, and today is going to be a little bit less about farming and a little more about a build guide and how to accomplish making your own, tornado shot on a budget. Obviously, you have seen my variant of the tornado shot where I used the alternate quality tornado shot, which would be extremely expensive in a normal league to pick up. I believe they're about 5 exalts on console, or more, maybe 2 or 3 if you get lucky. But this says extremely valuable gem for a lot of reasons, which I can go into in the future. But for now, I am going to go into what exactly I'm doing to scale my damage and how much of a budget I have put into this build, just at a very low end, low tier kind of standpoint. So, first things first, this is a bare bones budget version of this build. As such, I will be running a T16 map scoured, and I won't be bothering to put any extra mods or anything like that. I will obviously touch the altars and see what I can do there, but just so you guys can see, we're just going to be doing a T16 shore here, scoured. So let's go ahead and put this right in there, and just give you a little look-see into what we have going on. Before we put the map in though, I need to go over my gear. So first and foremost, we are using a Chin Soul. Now this Chin Soul has added flat lightning, and the percentage is a little bit higher, well, a lot higher if you can tell there. On average, I believe it's about anywhere between 15 to 20% more damage than a low level Chin Soul. But Chin Soul is such an easy and cheap to get bow that if you... Let me see if I can find my bows real quick. If I have a 6-link, I probably don't have an extra 6-link. But Chin Soul is such an easy to get and cheap bow that it's quite amusing. Oh, hold on. It looks like this guy is going to pass me a jewel that I wanted to try out on a future build. Oh, nice. Cool. Alright. Alright. So, that being said, basically we're on a really cheap budget. Obviously speaking, this is a Scourge item with double flat on it, and this is going to be more damage. I believe, if I remember right, I calculated it to be about 20% more damage. However, it's overkill damage by far, and you end up just seriously melting content without this variant of the bow. And you can even go cheaper and use a cheaper variant, which I will be demonstrating in League relatively soon. My character's already getting up there, and I had some friends help me out to, throw me some cheap gear and a few exalts so I can go and spend and, basically replicate this build in League, which I'm really stoked about doing. I hope that I can get something really cool going. So, next we have going is the helmet. So this helmet is 15 plus 12 plus 11 omniscience. This is 26, 36, 30, 38% increased total omniscience. And then we have this, which ends up being 5 movement speed and 15% increased omniscience with 10% attack speed attached to it. A little bit of cold res, not a very lot of defensive layers. Once you get the currency going, I would say by the time you leave like white tier maps, maybe get into yellow tier, you should have enough for a high desire. You only need one 6-link. I recommend getting the 6-link Chin Soul because I got mine for about 1.5x on console. I believe they go for anywhere between 3 to 5 or something like that. Maybe like 3. I wouldn't say 5, but like 3x is probably what you can expect to pay for them. These are like 1 chaos. It is not expensive at all. These are like 2 chaos, 3 chaos at most. If you want a perfect roll like this, you're probably going to fork over about an exalt. These are about 2 to 3 exalts each because they have the perfect roll 6/6 on top, and each of these 6% counts towards the omniscience, so it's extremely strong. But you can spend 10c each ring and ignore the 6% omniscience. I'll just take one off just to show you. Our omniscience is 1300 without it. and then with it, it goes up to 1500. It's a very huge increase in your omniscience. And this is just a boot that I slapped together with ROG and threw some currency on. This shouldn't be very hard to replicate. You don't need the lightning res. The chaos res is cool, but you don't need that either. The only thing I cared about was the fact that it had the dex, and I just literally went from there. I threw some red things on, I hit the action speed, I threw some blue things on, I hit the avoid elemental element, so I was like, alright, great, we're done. I happened to actually craft the suffixes a little bit. What I end up doing is I did one Veiled Chaos on the suffixes, end up hitting double T1 prefixes, which then turned into movement speed cannot be chilled. Now obviously you don't need the cannot be chilled or anything like that right away if you're starting. We're using Blasphemer's Grasp for like a 4 to 5C pair of gloves, maybe even less. I would say like an alchemy actually. And then of course the Crystallized Omniscience at 25%, which is about an exalt. One thing I will say is this quiver is slept on. This quiver gives you an insane amount of flat omniscience and a little bit of flat cold, flat attack speed, area of effect, and life gain for each enemy hit by your attacks. So you're looking pretty solid. Now, one of the things I will note is that my tree is not using any Watcher's Eye. My crit chance isn't amazing, but I am sitting at about 40.6 crit chance with 388 crit multi for my 5 link, and my 6 link, which is my main DPS, is about 400.6 to 500 multi. Our links right now are 2023 Inspiration. I figured that's not going to be very hard. It's Divergent, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. Our other links is barely leveling up crit damage, Trinity support. Then we have a Divergent Tornado Shot. Obviously, you don't have to get the alt quality, but Divergent's more attack speed. Hypothermia, just because things are going to get chilled, so we're going to apply that more. Now you can switch this gem out for like faster attacks if you want to just start shooting super fast, but just make sure you have a ring that has good suffixes that you can maybe do -7 mana cost on. Then we have in our other one, Ballista Totem Support, Tornado Shot, Focus Ballista, Cold added cold, and elemental damage with attacks. Our helmet, we have Mark on Hit, Sniper's Mark, Defiance Banner. We're not actually using the Herald of Ice, but we have it socketed in case we can fit it later on the budget version, that is. We have a Dash, Second Wind, and Blood Rage. Obviously, you don't need the alt qualities to start with. It's going to be the same thing essentially. You're going to get one shot a pretty decent amount too, so just be careful. Then we're using Divergent Grace. We'll just say Grace because it doesn't matter. This isn't going to help us that much. We're using Precision. This is just a level 21. Should cost you maybe 10 chaos to get a level 21. You don't care about the AoE, and alt quality is nothing. Anomalous Wrath is increased aura, but I believe it's the most common one, so you can expect to not pay too much. And Herald of Thunder. Again, we're not using any of our heralds. Our current active auras is Defiance Banner, Grace, Precision, and Wrath. And with that, we actually have a really good synergy with our Trinity support. If you see right here, our Cold and Lightning are very, very close together, meaning they can sit there and, be synergistic. So without further ado, we're going to hop in a tier 16 map on this low budget. Now, again, if you want to see like what it's like without the implicits, before I go into the map, I'm going to see if I actually have Le Hoops real quick. L-E-H-U-P. Let's try it. L-E-H-U-P. At one point I did have just random Le Hoops, so alright. Oh, looks like we have another one with attributes. I didn't even notice that. Let's finish just scrolling through. There's one. It's all res, pretty much dead. And the reason why we do this, the Le Hoops, is pretty simple. All we really want from the Le Hoop is the attributes, and if you can get it corrupted with more attributes, then I would definitely recommend it. So let's see if we can't find one more Le Hoop just to kind of showcase, that you don't really need insane investment. I'll just use one Lahoop, and then I'll quickly just put these aside for now. See, this is just a random Grace Aura effect ring that I found. What I'm going to do is I'm literally going to scour it. I'll take out 30 scours and some bindings. You don't even need the Grace Aura effect. Alright, so we have T1 int, some life, and mana and cold res. Sure. So you can literally use just something along this lines that has life, it has int, and then you can go to your bench and craft the minus channeling or non-channeling. Voila, for 4 chaos. We got the low roll, but whatever, we're on a budget. And then if we put it on, we can look at our omniscience again. Our omniscience is 1416, so we only lost about like 100 or so switching from 1 with a or 2 with 6/6 to these, maybe like 150. At the end of the day, our penetration is still over 141 before Trinity is popped. So let's go ahead and hop into a map. The hoops, I believe, on average are 1 to 2 chaos in League for horrible rolled ones. If you get ones with just like high attributes, you could probably spend a lot less than if you get ones with global, like all high rolls. Oh boy. Okay. I don't know what's happening.
I'm not up to that just
oh,
yet.
Okay, cool. I came back. Alright, cool. And then basically you just go through and start melting everything you see. And as you see, this is a T16. We don't even have leveled up gems, and we are killing things. And I just got murdered. But I mean, it is what it is. Another thing you can do is if you're not wanting to, you know, have this crafted pair of boots on, and you are on even more of a budget, you're just starting out League, you can actually use Alberon Warpath. Now, Alberon's Warpath is a simple pair of boots, like right here, and they say 18% increased strength. If you translate to 18% increased omniscience, and then it adds a little bit of flat chaos, it just kind of makes sense to, you know, maybe want to try it out and have some fun with it. I don't want to color it, so I'm not going to put it on, but actually I'll put it on for the sake of just showing you the omniscience difference. Goes from 1416 to 1423, and that's only because we only have one omniscience node here. So, you know, or if we had like a double or like dex int or like dex and crafted or something, it would probably beat out this one. But I mean, this one is kind of in its own way, it's pretty good. You just have very slow movement speed, so you know you gotta make your sacrifices where you can. Go ahead, put this aside so I don't forget about it. All right. Alright, now as you see, we're going to be killing a lot of, you know, things pretty easily. You do have to be a little careful. Obviously, if you feel a little sketched out, you can throw your Ballista Totems out and they will help you survive. Again, we are still using very low level gems on both of our links right now. As you see, all of my gems are still leveling up, and we are killing, you know, rare or not rare white T16 maps. Obviously I could probably do it rare with the amount of damage that you're seeing, but just so I don't have to, you know, end the recording because I bricked 6 portals on a build that I'm trying to like reduce the budget as much as possible, I just kind of wanted to show you guys what I have going, and this is the easiest way I can do it. So there you go, we have a res shrine. Now we are a little bit more tanky, giving us, I believe, 80 all res off rip. And all we have to do is just sit here and casually delete all the monsters.
My mana is gone.
And after this, I'll go over my tree and my decisions on everything I'm taking, just so you guys can kind of see, you know, for yourselves how easy it is, how inexpensive it is. This build is using 0 cluster jewels. As you saw, I'm at 40% crit chance, which is extremely low. And 0 cluster jewels makes it so I can pretty much just play the build at a budget. Now, there is something that you need to know about Chin Soul. You need to really be up in the boss's face to get it really, get it deleted. And however, only you need to be in the boss's face. And there you go. That is the boss fight. So now we're just gonna do that, and bam. As you see, we're not having any issues. I did have to potion a few times, but I still have gems that are leveling up, such as my level 1 to now probably 8 Defiance Banner. A bunch of my damaging gems are still leveling up. Another thing to note is the fact that I have so much attack speed on my Tornado Shot means that I am running out of mana real quick. So until you get a fix for your mana issue, I would actually recommend using the original one, because that actually increases the base damage of your Tornado Shot versus getting attack speed, which if you don't have the mana sustain to deal with it, then you kind of have a problem. However, a solution to this would be using a mana flask. Since you can automate all your other flasks, I would just use a mana flask and then maybe drop the phasing flask. I'm currently using a phasing flask because it's very inexpensive and this is a very budget version of this build. Dying Sun being extremely cheap this league makes it, even easier to run. And voila, that is the build. So as you see here, we're not having any issues with this, and the reason I chose to do low level gems more or less is also because, my bow is legacy and it has Scourge, so it has a lot of extra DPS going for it. However, the flat PDPS, for the one in League is about 400 or something like that. It's only 100 PDPS lower, and it's obviously this isn't perfect attack speed rolled, so I'm missing some attack speed and I'm missing some dex. And the dex is again an omniscience modifier for your build. So another thing to note is I am also not using Herald of Thunder, and I'm doing that for a couple of reasons. One, I did want to emulate what the build would feel like without it, just because, as it sits, we have a bow with over 100 flat lightning damage on it, and at level 20, Herald of Thunder gives you like 150, 160 flat lightning, so I figured that would be kind of balancing out with the flat that this gives. Just a little bit off, you know what I mean? And just kind of what my thought process was. I don't have a non-legacy Chin Soul, and I'm not going to divine my old ones, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I guess, but yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at there. So, hey, you guys get to see a bonus, so I'm going to Valorb this thing and see what happens. Boop. Nothing. Nothing happened. That's disappointing. Right. Alright, well, hello. To the vendor! Yeah, that's really disappointing. It's a really good roll, too. Goodbye. Alright. But, yeah, that's the gameplay. Now let's go over our tree. So our tree is relatively simple. We are starting to path upwards and immediately taking the aura nodes. Now, actually, I would recommend taking these aura nodes a little later. And my reasoning is you don't really need them right away, and you can get away with just kind of going through the rest of your tree with basic auras until you get to a higher, gear point. So you do with that knowledge what you please, but that's, my opinion on it. We go straight up and over, and we take this crit multi, and then we actually path down this way. Now what I do is early on I actually path towards all of the dirty 30 nodes, and I do this because taking these is 30 omniscience or more if you have the percent multipliers such as I do, and it ends up being an extremely valuable, just oomph in the right direction to get your build to where you need it. And then we are taking the suppression nodes down here. If you look, our spell suppression is at 81%. Now, when you get to your High Desire, you can actually get this to over 100%, and then you can start removing spell suppression nodes in favor of attack speed and crit and stuff like that. At the very end of the build, you're going to want something along the lines of how I have my build, my other main build, and how that build is with Secrets of Suffering, non-damaging element effect, so on and so forth. But you get to remove a lot of nodes from your Lion Eye Fall, save them, and put them elsewhere. I'm still going to try and keep this build as clusterless as possible, and I want to do this for a couple of reasons. Clusters have a lot of modifiers that are just kind of so-so. Now if you end up getting like a cluster with 3 modifiers and the very last modifier was like T1 Dex, T1 Strength, or T1 Int, right? That means every little travel node you go, you get 10 omniscience, or you get 1 omniscience, or, you know, multiplied probably like 1.5 omniscience after all the multipliers that you have, and that just kind of really helps you get whatever you need to get going. So next we are actually pathing over here for these crit nodes here, and then we have all of the bow wheel spect. And once you get your build to a point that you can use Secrets of Suffering Jewels, which is about 10x right now, I wouldn't recommend doing this early. You can basically start dropping these nodes in favor of other damage nodes, attack speed nodes, even you know, survivability nodes. Because of our pathing, we are actually taking the suppression nodes here, which is how we're getting to 81% spell suppress. Then we have these life nodes down here, the crit node, or the cold and convert to cold nodes here. And the reason we take the convert to cold is because we need to be able to apply our Trinity and just get that extra pin on top of everything else, and because we're going elemental. Now once you get your 60% converted tornado shot, you can do 60 plus this 40, and then you can still proc your Trinity fairly easy, because there's going to be a big chance that you convert, you know, to like a lightning or a fire, or, you know, a 33% chance that you convert to cold, in which case that one shot's not going to take full advantage, or not going to proc Trinity, but as long as Trinity's active, it's going to do it full 100% damage with all the pin that you have on your kit. So then we go down here, take this little mana leech node. We're actually taking the projectile mastery with more projectile speed. What this does is this gives us more distance for our tornado shot. As you see, it shoots extremely far, and our little extra arrows travel really fast as well. We don't have an enchant, so we don't have the extra arrow for, you know, for early on. And then we are taking the suppression nodes here. You can actually take these two here, and this would actually put me from 81 to 89. And then we're taking these nodes here, and the reason we're taking them is for Grace Aura Reservation. Now, again, I'm doing this mainly because, you know, I can, and I put Defiance Banner just so I had a little bit extra survivability, just so you guys can see. Obviously, you don't need the Heralds, but I mean, if you can use the Heralds like Herald of Ice or Herald of Ash or something, then I would recommend trying it. And then we have, for example, right here, we have more life here. We have Point Blank, which scales extremely well with your other node. And then we're taking these Dirty 30s here. This is a total of 3, 6, 7, maybe like 8, 8.5 omniscience after all the multipliers, which is 8 pin. So I'd say this is a pretty solid setup. 141 pin with insane crit multi. Then last but certainly not least, if you scroll up here, we are actually taking Lionized Fall, taking the life nodes right under it, and we are taking all of the crit nodes here and all the attack speed nodes here. Now what you can do is you can actually see there's a few nodes that you can take that are you know, that aren't exactly specific. You just have to kind of read them. This one, if you don't already have Culling, you can get Culling, and you can obviously get 100% crit strike multipliers against enemy on full life. However, this is only one, like a one shot, basically. One enemy or one volley is going to do that. Another thing you can take here is life gain for each enemy hit by your attacks, mana gain for each enemy hit by your attacks. Now, if you do this, this is a very good thing you can do. This will help you sustain life and mana. I just didn't do it for the video because I just wanted to kind of show you, you know, hey, you know, simple stuff, whatever. But this gives you a lot of sustain, especially if you have this. You just kind of always sustain your life pool, and you have so many projectiles and so many enemies you're hitting that you're going to be essentially sustaining your whole life pool back. And yeah, that's pretty much that. Everything else here, as you can see, is dirt. You're not gonna expect to spend too much currency on this build. Like the 6 link again is not that expensive. This 5 link was 1 chaos. This was a couple of chaos. This was a couple of chaos. I already have them all in league. The only thing I'm missing right now is the rings, which I'm probably just gonna borrow some rings from a friend. And I think I need like a pair of boots and gloves, but I'm just going to borrow some random niche ones from a friend until I can get something better. But that being said, I do hope you guys enjoy this video, and even more so, I hope you guys can make this build work for you. As you see, we're able to do t16s on this, and when you're able to do t16s on gear that looks like this, it's pretty good. You know, obviously, you know, this is perfect roll. This is a nowhere near perfect roll though, so I figured I can sacrifice that. You know, I have actually better rolled one in league, and we don't even have double stats here. We just have a, you know, action speed, which is cool. But yeah, that's the build. Hope you guys enjoy it. And if you guys, you know, if you guys want to skip the whole crafting process and buy a chinsel, let me know how you like the chinsel variant over, you know, this one. Yeah, take it easy, everybody. As always, have a good one and have fun. Just enjoy the build. That's all I gotta say, man. It's so fun. It's so easy to just blow things up.